I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job.
Tell me why. Why can't we live together? Tell me why. Why can't we live together? Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together?
Hello, all you melanated beauties, sun-kissed by God's lips. This is Coy with your black tea sip. I'm sipping power to pour you the truth. Go grab your cup. Let's fill it up.
This is HBCU week. I am clearly donning my HBCU t-shirt. Now, y'all know I have been critical of my alma mater because I am not for foolishness. And there has been a lot of foolishness that has been going on with me personally, that people have brought to me. I have experienced foolishness, but first I must give a shout out to PV Gremlin Weekend. Hey, all the tailgaters. See you soon. It's a free world on MLK during PV weekend. I know it's supposed to be like PV Gremlin or Gremlin versus PV because, we're here in Texas, but I don't do that. I just say PV weekend because it's PV weekend. I mean, it's not really Gremlin's weekend. I mean, they're not from here. They're like from the boot. But we should show the boot some love. They have gone through lots of trials and tribulations, and we should show our neighbors some love, just not on the football field. That's all I'm going to say about that. But shout out to all you HBCUers. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And those of you that are PWIs, well, that's all right. You come on in here and join us anyway, babies, because I got a lot of good stuff to talk about. I want to first thank everyone who checked in on me, who called with concern. I haven't really talked a lot because I had to preserve my energy because there has been so much that has happened, and it's one of those things where you say to yourself, no, not me. I even had a high school friend who is also my sorority sister say to me, this happened to you? Yes, it happened to me. But I want to talk about some happenings to other people and things that are going on in the world before I get to little old me. So you sun-kissed gods and goddesses, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to pour hot tea today, baby. Go grab your cup. I'm going to fill it up, and I'm going to keep it hot and steamy. No need for the microwave today, baby. You will not have to rewarm this tea. It has been a lot that's gone on with us. We've got, in the state of Texas, we got Governor Hot Wheels that has decided that he is going to do an audit of the 4 largest counties in Texas: Dallas County, Harris County, which is Houston and its surrounding cities, Collin County, which is Frisco and surrounding cities, and Tarrant County, which is Fort Worth, Texas. And he is going to audit them. And they had a cybersecurity company come in called Cyber Ninja. I wonder if that's code for something. I've digressed. And Cyber Ninja said, yeah, there were some things that needed to be handled better. And there were some things that they could have done better, and there were some discrepancies. But nothing suggested that there was rampant fraud or any fraud, voter fraud of any kind. Yet Governor Hot Wheels is expecting the legislature, the Texas legislature, your money, Texas residents, your money, to pay for this audit of Harris, Tarrant, Collin, Dallas County voting. And we just getting warmed up. So listen. A lot has happened. I wanna talk to people just a moment. It has been North Texas Giving Day yesterday. My sorority, the illustrious, the most esteemed, the first and the finest. Yeah, I did that. But I mean, it's HBC weekend, so you're supposed to be a little over the top. For your historically black Greek letter organizations, mine just happens to be the first sorority. Shout out FIA. So we raised $2 million. Let me just say this. We raised $2 million on Wednesday. Our goal is $1 million. We raised $2 million. And what happens when we raise $1 million is that the HBCU presidents come to an event, and when that president from that HBCU shows up, she last year put a check of, she being the international president, Dr. Glenda Glover, who is the president of Tennessee State University, gives a $50,000 check to the president of that university to use for the school's betterment. We raised $2 million this time. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. I'm thinking maybe those schools will get $100,000. Show up this time, Mike Sorrell. Do not send my soror. Don't send another board member because it's for the presidents. Please show up so we can get the money. Thank you so much. So with that being said, we have a crisis at the border. And the crisis at the border is reminiscent of slavery. Those people are treated like chattel. Those of you who don't know the word, C-H-A-T-T-E-L, chattel. You should look it up. Not cattle. I had somebody say cattle. No, it's chattel, C-H. And when I looked at what was going on with the way the Border Patrol was treating those men and women, children, and you can see images of children terrified. We have some pictures of them crossing the Rio Grande River, and the people are, in fact, in terror. But it's the babies that got me. I was talking to one of my sorority sisters, Sora Patrice, who is a very dear friend of mine, and I began to weep. And I was so emotional, I couldn't, and I hope I can get through this show. I could not contain my emotion. You know, I'm not sure I did the ugly cry because, I was, trying to hold it in. But I couldn't talk. It messed me up to the point where I couldn't talk. I could not get my words together, and I kept saying, I just can't talk about it. I just can't talk about it. And she said, I know. And she said, I've been crying because of the horror of seeing it. But I think for me, it wasn't just the horror of seeing it. It was the horror of seeing the images in real life. It was, in fact, the horror of seeing it in a way that made you think about what it was like to be trying to go from a slave state to freedom. That's what came to my mind. And I had a very uncomfortable experience a week ago, yesterday, in which I too thought about what it's like to not have a certain level of privilege, to have a certain level of resources, to be completely helpless, and to be in a situation where you're not sure if you're going to be safe. Now, we've seen this play out all over the news, all over social media. And Reverend Al Sharpton shows up, and Attorney Ben Crump, and every now and then my friend Attorney Lee Merritt shows up, and we hear it, and we're incensed. We get upset. It's different when it's happening to you, because it's not just your trauma. It becomes the trauma of your friends. It becomes the trauma of the people that care about you. It becomes the trauma that you start to say, well, wait a minute. If it can happen to them, it can happen to me. Well, what's going on at the border under the Del Rio bridge is not necessarily something that we would, think of ourselves. We wouldn't necessarily say, well, wait a minute, that could happen to us because we're already here. And we're fully aware of how, jacked up he can be, baby. But we're already here. So in our minds, we're kind of the idea that, well, that those people are escaping horrible situations. The lady that's down there, who I actually really have a great deal of respect for, she runs an organization called Haitian Bridge Alliance. Now, I'm certain that she did not name it just for this particular event, because she's been working under that bridge for 6 years. But if you go to the Haitian Bridge Alliance website, I think it's HaitianBridge.org, you will learn that they originally were operating out of San Diego and really focused on California because, and I was unaware, there's a large Haitian population there. That is originally how this thing started for her. But the need was so great in Texas that they are now in Texas. Now listen to me. The woman who runs this nonprofit organization has never advertised, does not ask for outside help. And I'm sure it's because she doesn't want to be beholden. She just wants to take care of her people. Now, I'm saying this to say, those of you that are familiar with Dallas and Friendship West Baptist Church and, the good old church folk, y'all know who Dr. Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes III, Freddie as he's called, and Al Sharpton are down there now at the border. They say Freddie was raising all kinds of sand. But here is why we need to really focus on what's going on with Haiti. And I want to talk about Haiti. I want to talk about why Haiti is in the situation that it's in. I want to talk about why we are so dismissive, of Haiti, because we don't really have a good understanding. We don't have a good understanding of Haiti. We don't have a good understanding of how they got into the situation that they're in. And we're just kind of, watching it in horror, but not really knowing what to do and how to feel. So I'm here to tell you what to do and how to feel. So here's the thing with Haiti. We see them bathing in the Rio Grande River. You know what that makes me think about? It makes me think about when they said that we were dirty and nasty and didn't bathe. If those of you that know history will know that, I love a little history. And maybe that's why I'm so militant, because I know history. But those of you that know history, you'll know that the Moors, when they entered into the city of Vienna in Italy, they lit the roadway. See, in school, we learned the period of enlightenment. And so we learned that there was art and music and history and math, but it was the Moors. The dark-skinned people that have the turbans on their head, they usually pop up in pictures and you see them looking off to the side and then they tell us those were the slaves. No, baby. Because what you need to know is that the Moors ruled Spain for 800 years. And the running of the bulls is reminiscent of them running the last black royalty out of Spain. For those of you colored folks that want to go participate in the running of the bull, we'll go right ahead and let the bull poke you. So those of you that know that the Ethiopian word for corral is kurial. Because prior to this whitewashing of history, talking about us not bathing and being clean, those that came out of the Caucasus Mountains lived in the house with the chickens and the pigs. Chicken pox. Stay with me, baby. And so because of that, the word corral comes from the Moors saying you don't live with livestock in your home. You corral them. And so this idea that they're filthy and nasty and you see them bathing in the Rio Grande River, you know what that says to me? People who want to be clean will bathe. These people are not used to living in filth as they would suggest to us. I find it so reminiscent of the things that we were told about ourselves. And y'all say, why is Coy doing this? Because something happened to me that is very reminiscent of what they think about us as a people. When we see the man, pull up the picture, Angelo, with the man on horseback that's grabbing at the Haitian man. And this man is barefoot, and he is, the border patrol officer is on horseback. Doesn't that make you think about, if nothing else, the movie Harriet Tubman, when they chasing them down on horseback, and they're running, and they're running, and they're running. And they get to the water, and Harriet Tubman says that the Lord told her to go through the water, and they were afraid to do so. All of that comes to my mind. And what comes to yours? Because that is what I see. But then I think about me standing there, and he's got the picture up where you see that man is in sheer terror. Because understand that they were told when they were in South America, if you come to the United States, your life will be good. Joe Biden is going to let you in. Now, somebody somewhere started that rumor. Somebody somewhere started the rumor, get to America. But the only reason the people of Haitian descent, the Haitians, are being treated like that is the exact same reason I was treated the way I was treated Thursday, a week ago, yesterday. Because it's this mentality that black people, regardless of where you are from or where you are in the African diaspora, we deserve a certain amount of treatment. We deserve to be mistreated in such a way that it makes everything okay. We find ourselves, even in our own community, not knowing how to help. I want to say this very quickly, and this is a little bit off topic, so stay with me a second, but I want to say this to some people. If you are going to help someone, then you help them. These people are in crisis, and they look like us. No, not the same tongue. They're speaking Spanish and they're speaking French. However, they look like us. See, for those of you that don't necessarily know geography, near Haiti and the Dominican Republic, you know that place y'all like to go where they put the poison in the liquor in the refrigerator in the hotel and they're killing people, or then they stuff the man in a window and they're killing people. You know, that place y'all like to go, it's right next door to Haiti. But the Dominicans will not allow the Haitians to come over there and work because Haiti is one of the poorest nations in the Western Hemisphere. I'm going to take a quick break and then I'm going to tell you why. Stay with me because I know y'all are interested in what happened to me on Thursday. I was terrorized by the Dallas Police Department. And I was terrorized by the Dallas Police Department. His name is Sergeant B. Adams. They wouldn't give me a first name. Badge number 6029. And I'm going to talk about it because I ain't holding nothing back. Because, you know, if you're scared, say you're scared. I ain't never scared. This is Court with the Black Tea Sip. In a minute.
Do you want to find a stable job in a growing field? IT jobs such as network systems administrators, cybersecurity, programming, cloud, and computer systems analysts are expected to increase 25% by 2022. Texas Premier Technology Institute offers training for top certifications such as CompTIA, Cisco, and Microsoft in less than 12 weeks. And if you're unemployed or underemployed, you may qualify for free tuition. Contact TPTI at 1-888-490-TPTI or check them out on the web at tpti.us.
Nourished skin is healthy skin. Simply Ardor skincare products provides luxurious nourishment for your body. Indulge in rich scrubs and body butters and top it off with our sensational and unique aromatic lines of sprays and roll-on fragrances. It's simple and lovely. Simply Ardor. Love is real. Just spread it.
All right, and we're back. Love is real. Just spread it. I like that. The owner of that her name is Teresa Patin, Patin, Simply Ardor, Ardor. You should check it out. You know, if you use her sugar scrub, you don't have to, you actually don't have to put on lotion the next day. So before we broke, I was talking about Haiti. And I was talking about how it reminded me of slavery. But I had the unfortunate situation that not only reminded me of Haiti, but told me in no unforgettable terms, I'm going to use another word, but no unforgettable terms, that we are all viewed the same by people of other persuasion who typically share a mindset that embodies Trumpism. Now, when the police at the border, because that's what Border Patrol is, it's just border police, right? When they see those Haitians, they're barefoot. They don't necessarily speak English. They've been traveling a long time, so many of them are disheveled. And they mistreat them. Do you know that they can get food on the Mexico side of the border, and then they bring it back to the U.S. side of the border? Because Mexicans are feeding them. They can buy food, they're given food, but Americans are not. Isn't that something? Because we're supposed to be the land of the free. Isn't that something? Did you all know that the United States of America tried to enter into a treaty with the Mexican authorities and the president there during slavery, and wanted to be able to come onto Mexico's border and capture runaway slaves? Mexico said no. But in my mind, I hear Mexico saying, it's out of my place. Mexico said no. Mexico said when they get here, they are free. They'll tell you about Texas and how we won at the Alamo. No, we stole land and then we paid them pennies for it. That is what we're about. Those of you that want to help, I kind of stopped. Those of you who want to help. I'm talking to some specific people, and they know who they are. I'm not going to call their names on the radio, but I wish they would call me and ask me if I'm talking about them. If you're going to help. But too many people who are affluent, or at least pretend to be, are out here looking for recognition. They're looking for acknowledgement of their help. That is not what help is about. Now, these people need help. So that's my soapbox for the day. I'm going to talk about Haiti because I'm going to tell y'all why I experienced what I experienced. And the truth of the matter is I experienced it because they view all of us the same. They look at all black folk and decide, well, that's just who they are collectively. I talk about all the time the black tax. And the black tax is such that we all bear the scars of one another. So if they do it for one, they do it for all. I mean, now there are exceptions to every rule, and I will not say that, this is like, I'm not going to say all white people are bad because all black people aren't good. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but there is a mentality. So let's talk about Haiti for a minute because I want to bring it home. I told you Haiti is by the Dominican. They will not allow the Haitians to cross over into the Dominican, work in those hotels, work as bartenders, maid service, certainly not concierge. And it's right next door. But the reason Haiti is poor and it's next door to Dominican, which is not as poor, anytime there's poor people and poverty in the United States. So I'm not suggesting that there are not poor people in the Dominican. There are poor people all over the world. But Haiti in particular, because Haiti is the only black republic that actually won their freedom because they fought back. They fought back against the French who had them enslaved. Now understand, Haiti's, the people happy. They doing whatever they're doing. They chopping their own sugar cane. They making their own sweets. They're doing everything that they want to do. Their coffee, their tobacco. They happy. Fishing, doing their thing. The French get there and they enslave the people. And then they ship some more people to Haiti. Haiti fights back and wins their independence. For decades, Europe, where France is, and the United States later refused to recognize Haiti as an independent nation. So they don't get the rights and the privileges of being recognized by other superpowers as an independent nation. They can't enter into certain treaties or transactions or United Nations. They cannot do those things for decades. But I think this is what you ought to take home with you. When they won their independence from France on New Year's Eve, 1804, they were told that they were going to send more troops, French troops, to Haiti to re-enslave them unless they paid them reparations for the money that they lost because the people were no longer enslaved. So what I'm saying to you is, when Haiti won its freedom, they were told by the French government that if you no longer want to be slaves of ours, you will have to pay us to stay out of slavery the money that we are losing because you are no longer a slave. That is what I'm saying to you. Do you hear what I'm saying? So, what happens when a nation is poor, and they only paid back the money that was owed in the last several years, and I don't remember the exact date. I'll see if I can get it for you. In the last several years is when they paid them back. In the 2000s is when they were paid back. So they're paying back to stay out of slavery. And to me, I don't understand why they just didn't default on the loan. I mean, you know how in college you let them worry about how they're gonna get their money. You know how you charge up the credit card and you can't pay it, but you still got the boots. I mean, what they gonna do? Re-enslave you? It's not like they were getting resources. So, when it talks about Haiti being unable to pay the hefty sum outright, it was forced into a debt that they shouldered throughout the 19th century. And it creates so much instability in the country. In 1915, U.S. troops invaded after a mob killed the Haitian president. So, look, when I was in law school at Florida Coastal School of Law in Jacksonville, Florida, I had a very good friend named Emmanuel Roy. He would say his name, Emmanuel Roy. I love the Caribbean. So we were walking out of where our student center was. We were walking out of there, and it was several of us, 1Ls, that were really good friends, and we would eat lunch and study together. And for whatever day, me and Emmanuel and a couple other people were together, and we were walking out, and he looked at this guy so strangely. And I remember thinking to myself, why are you looking at that man like that? And he was visibly shaken up. We get to the restaurant, and he's still very quiet, and we're like, well, what's going on with you? And Emmanuel Roy says, I think that's the guy whose father tried to kill my father. We're like, what? So we learned that Emmanuel's father was a high-ranking official in the Haitian government, very close to the president. There was a coup staged. Peter, who also went to school with us, his father led or was high-ranking in the coup. I don't know if he specifically led it, but he was high-ranking with those persons who were leading the coup against the president that Emmanuel's father worked for or worked with. Emmanuel had to be snuck out of the country at 7 years old in a burlap sack over a donkey to get him out of the country. So he goes through Haiti and goes to the Dominican. They end up at the same law school. Peter, whose father tried to have all of the officials, whether it's military or not, had them and their families killed. And then you have Emmanuel, who has lived through the terror. And I'm going to talk about black trauma in just a minute. They end up forming a law firm together in New York. But that is Haiti, because it's so much instability, and there's always one group that's always upset. In 1915, when the United States took over Haiti because the mob had killed this president, we always trying to police the world, but we can't do nothing at home. The occupation did not end until 1934, but the United States controlled Haiti's finances until 1947. Remember when I said that Europe and the United States would not recognize this nation as an independent nation? So now we have, in the early 1900s, Jean-Bertrand Artiste, a former Roman Catholic priest, was elected president. Now, I actually remember this. And he was then ousted twice from power over the 15 years. And the United States would come in and try to help and settle. Let me tell you what help and settling is from the United States in particular, but also other nations, Russia, Europe. It is to take your resources. Kind of like how we went to Iran. It is to overtake and take your resources. That's what they do. That's the sole purpose for them going in with help. You know, like with the government, when we say they're here to help, you know, our help ain't good help. That's kind of how the United States operates, but especially in Haiti. Haiti's a very poor nation, and they still cultivate their crops and treat their land in a way that is almost unheard of. It's kind of like the Amish, because they don't have the modern technology. They have very poor infrastructure, lots of earthquakes. That is typically what we see, and we think, oh, those poor people. Except for like the cruise lines that will actually take you to Haiti, but, you know, they block you off where you can't see the realism of Haiti. Now, we're faced with a crisis at the border, and we're looking at all of the things that happened to Haiti, but we don't have a good understanding of why people are leaving. The lady who runs the nonprofit that I spoke of before, Haitian Bridge Alliance, said Haiti is like a house on fire. The people leaving Haiti are like escaping from a burning house or a burning building. You escape, you can breathe, you know, you're dealing with the terror of what would have happened had you not gotten out. And we in the United States are loading up planes and flying them back, basically dropping them off in the flames. Now understand that the Haitians went to South America first. COVID dried up the work in South America, and that's when they were told, someone started a rumor saying Joe Biden would let you into the United States. Is that really a rumor? Because supposedly if you're seeking asylum, and you kept hearing them say there's no security in Haiti. We are dealing right now with Haiti, and the president has had to go into hiding because there's another coup. Because there's always someone wanting to take over and be in power. The idea that we would allow those people to stay there and be treated like chattel and not try to do anything from a governmental standpoint is beyond me. Those pictures that you saw, the man chasing the people and the children, those children were in utter terror. They are on administrative leave. Kind of like, you know, when Amber Geiger was on administrative leave from killing Botham Jean. I mean, you know, still getting a check. It's an investigation. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do. You know, I just think when we start talking about Haiti, I think you should also know that there was a cholera outbreak in 2016 linked to the United Nations peacekeepers, kind of like Trail of Tears with the Native Americans when the soldiers gave them blankets with chicken pox. And it killed at least 10,000 Haitians, and it sickened another 800,000. I think we need to be very aware of the fact that they are treating people reminiscent of how they've treated other people in the United States. I'm going to take a quick break this call. I'm going to tell you what happened Thursday night. I know y'all saying, what happened? I'm going to tell you. Stay tuned. This is Coy.
Now available, T.H. Moore's newest novel, titled I Am, follows a young African-American couple who are forced to pick up the pieces of their marriage after the violent loss of their young godson at the hands of a local white policeman. The loss sparks not only their community's anger, but also the rage of a vigilante who initiates a nationwide killing spree targeted at corrupt police officers. New York Times best-selling author Omar Tyree praises T.H. Moore's new novel as an audacious story and read. Dr. Christopher C. Irving, CEO of the Miller Institute for Leadership and Diversity in America, calls it a daring story. I Am by T.H. Moore, now available at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and at thmoore.com.
For nearly 30 years, we've had the experienced leadership of Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. Now, it's our duty to ensure that we continue toward progress. I am Jane Hope Hamilton. As a wife, a mother, and for a time a single mother, I know firsthand the challenges that our families face, and I know what it takes to get things done for our families and our community. As the state director for President Biden and former chief of staff on Capitol Hill, I fought for our community to have affordable health care, good paying jobs, and quality education. For years, I have also gone toe-to-toe with those who try to push us back and knock us down. When corrupt Republicans pass discriminatory voting laws that violate our rights, I fought back, went to court, and won. And when an out-of-control cop beat me to the ground, I refused to be intimidated. I stood up for myself, and the charges were dropped because I demanded justice. In this climate, as we face so much uncertainty, I am being encouraged to run in Congressional District 30. And as I consider it, I'd like to hear from you. Together, we can move our communities and our families forward.
All right, and we're back. If you just joined us, this is Coy with the Black Tea Sip. I'm really upset. I was in tears yesterday about the crisis at the border, but I think it's some PTSD because, and I told y'all I was going to tell you, but I had to work myself up to it, because a week ago yesterday, my boyfriend and I were literally looking for gas. You know, we had this conversation like, no, it's over there. No, we should go over here. You know, conversation that you should be able to have as per the Constitution provided to us by the founders of what is now the United States of America, per the fact that you deserve certain liberties as a citizen of Dallas, and that you should deserve certain humanities as just a human being. We should be able to look for gas. No, not when you're wrapped in this sun-kissed skin, not when you are driving while black, not when someone gets an idea in their head. Because mens rea, as they say in the law, you cannot predict or claim to understand that because it is in someone else's mind. Well, this is what happened. We were leaving. I drove to the Lorenzo Hotel. I called him. I said, hey, I need gas. He came downstairs immediately. I pulled up. Now, here's what you should know. Prior to me reaching the Lorenzo Hotel to get him so he can go buy me some gas, prior to that, I exited coming from the south, came up Lamar, turned on Bellevue, made a left on Bellevue for those of you that are Dallasites, and then I made a left onto Ackerd, which is where the Lorenzo Hotel is. So as I approached, there was a stop sign. I don't know that side street. There was 2 cop cars sitting there. And one seemed to be a Latino man, very dark. I assumed he was Mexican, but I don't know that for sure. Pudgy face, little round belly. I didn't see that till later. Saw his head was round, like a big old moon head. Now, I slowed my speed because to me, he was going to enter the street. So I slowed. He did not. So when I slowed to a point where I could see him and he could see me, and our eyes locked. As soon as I turned into Lorenzo Hotel, the 2 cop cars turned behind me. When they turned behind me, I thought to myself, let me get my wallet because here go this BS. Because you know how they do. Pick my boyfriend up. We drive around the parking lot because, you know, it's really one way in and one way out, if you've ever been there before. And we are attempting to exit back to Ackerd Street. Now, I'm unable to do that because the jump out boys have literally whooped, and I'm using that as a technical term. They whooped up in the parking lot. And they pounced on this champagne colored car that looks like it might be a Lexus. You know, one of the little small Lexus. So we wait for them because the way the police cars are parked, we can't exit. And the same car that I passed before with the round-faced, dark-skinned Latino man, he keeps staring in the car. Now, let me tell y'all what that stare is, because every time I've had the unfortunate situation of having to retell this story, I make this statement and all the black people nod their head. He looked at me with the look they give you when you don't display the appropriate or adequate amount of fear for them. The look of intimidation. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can see y'all moving y'all's heads through this, through the camera. Everybody knows that look. I dare say brown people know it too. So the champagne colored car moves back over towards the entrance door where you enter the lobby to go to inside the hotel. And then squad car number 6046, I'm going to tell you how I know that number in a minute. 6046 gets right behind that car. And when they get right behind that car, then the Mexican man, who I think is Mexican man, kind of, or officer, moves his squad car, but he moves his car and he gets back out and leans on his door with the look you get when you don't provide the appropriate amount of fear. You're not demonstratively afraid. That is the look we get. I maneuver my car around his squad car and I exit. And our conversation begins. I say, I think I need to go to Fuel City, but I don't think I want Fuel City gas. And he says, you don't have to go to Fuel City. I think it's a gas station on Lamar. This is our conversation. I go to Katie's, I turn, I think that's Austin Street, and then I turn. Before I can turn, then the flashing lights. And I say, oh, here go this BS. So I attempt to get my wallet. I slow my speed to less than 20 miles per hour, and I put my blinker on. Now, to me, I am alerting the police that I have absolutely no intention of evading. I am complying. However, I am uncomfortable stopping on Katie's because it's dark. There is some light, but not enough for me as a black woman in this atmosphere, in the climate of Trump and renegade rogue cops that have been killing black folks for no other reason than breathing while black on a dark street. I'm uncomfortable. So I slow my speed and put on my turn signal. I then make the turn, and all Dallasites know the place. I stop at Scott's Discount Liquor, Beer, Wine, right across from the Alamo Draft House. They have huge overhead lighting, and they have their own parking lot. Now, I could have just parked my car alongside the door at the curb, and I still would have been nose out where you can actually try to get to the freeway. But I don't do that. I actually park inside the parking lot, nose in, facing the building. I then proceed to get my wallet from my handbag that's in the back seat. And my boyfriend says to me in a tone that I've never heard him speak to me in before. It was full of concern, but very matter of fact. Like, do it now. He says, put your hands out the window, baby. And when he says that, I then look at him, and his hands are out of the window. His head is out of the window. And I look in my rearview mirror, and I see flashing red lights and cops everywhere. And they're in SWAT gear. I then let my window down and stick both my left and my right hand out the window. I got to take a break and play some bills. This is Corey with the Black Tea Sip. Stay with me. If you're enjoying the show today and you want to know more, give me a like. Don't just give me a heart as a reaction. Give me a like on the show and comment and let me know what you're thinking. This is Coy with the Black Tea Sip in a minute.
Hi, I'm King Charles.
This is D Speaks, and I am Dr. Tanisha Guy,
host of King Charles Topic of the Week, 2019 Show of the Year. Tune in every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. on the Fishbowl Radio Network, #1 in the world. This is the home of Real Talk Radio, real topics, real issue, real life, right here. Don't miss it. Every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. Central
on FishbowlRadioNetwork.com.
Jump in. Wait, I was supposed to go first. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Just jump in.
Podcasters and internet radio hosts, it's time to take your show to the next level. Hi, my name is Sammy G, a 30-plus year radio broadcasting veteran, public speaker, and voiceover artist. And for the last 11 years, now the proud owner of Fishbowl Radio Network, the largest and most listened to streaming platform and radio station facility of its kind. 2 years ago, I created a proprietary system to help podcasters and internet radio hosts learn how to program their show like the pros, build a constantly growing and loyal fan base, and monetize their show. I teach this system every 6 weeks via Zoom to individuals all over the world. The Behind the Mic Masterclass is 6 one-hour classes that will finally take your show to the next level. Call today, 817-633-4880, 817-633-4880, and reserve your seat for the next Behind the Mic Masterclass.
Hi, this is Diane Marion Eunice, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. For the past 9 years, I have worked with over 300 couples in the areas of sexual health, communication, and conflict resolution. If you are interested in rebuilding connection and intimacy with your partner, please contact me today. I can be reached at 682-201-8175, or you can email me at diane@letstalkrelationships.org, or visit my website at www.letstalkrelationships.org. And remember, you can't heal if you refuse to deal.
We are so excited to announce that Antries Jones Productions has a new TV series coming out called Blocked. Blocked is a suspenseful drama surrounding a young lady named April who is at war with herself, and with a cold heart, she shatters anyone who tries to mend any brokenness from her past. Life itself has dragged her to hell and back, and she's going to make sure that God himself feels her wrath. Blocked is a nail-biter as it confronts many societal issues like church culture, molestation, hypocrisy, judgmental friends, and the inner turmoil of finding your own identity. Matter of fact, we have Antries Jones, who is the director, the producer, and the writer of this brand new series in the studio with us today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Antries Jones. Connect with us. Follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I look forward to connecting with you. Stay tuned for my new TV series, Blocked, coming soon to streaming services. Yes!
America, your children have an amazing superpower. That's right. They can help save lives by simply washing their hands. Just 20 seconds of thorough hand washing after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside can help fight against the dastardly spread of germs. Armed with only soap and water and hands, your superhero can protect you, your family, and everyone out there in America land. Amazing! Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Nourished skin is healthy skin. Simply Ardor skincare products provides luxurious nourishment for your body. Indulge in rich scrubs and body butters, and top it off with our sensational and unique aromatic lines of sprays and roll-on fragrances. It's simple and lovely. Simply Ardor. Love is real. Just spread it.
Do you want to find a stable job in a growing field? IT jobs such as network systems administrators, cybersecurity, programming, cloud, and computer systems analysts are expected to increase 25% by 2022. Texas Premier Technology Institute offers training for top certifications such as CompTIA, Cisco, and Microsoft in less than 12 weeks. And if you're unemployed or underemployed, you may qualify for free tuition. Contact TPTI at 1-888-490-TPTI or check them out on the web at tpti.us.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job.
Tell me why. Why can't we live together? Tell me why.
sun-kissed by God's lips. This is Coy with your black tea sip. I'm sipping power to pour you the truth. Go grab your cup. Let's fill it up.
All right, and we're back. This is Coy with your black tea sip. I told you, grab your cups, baby. I'm going to fill it up. Well, this tea is hot because this time I'm not talking about someone else's experience. I'm talking about my own. I started this show, if you're just joining us, I started talking about how the Haitians at the border was reminiscent of slavery and chattel. And what happened to me Thursday night, a week ago yesterday, was that I, too, was treated like chattel. If you're just tuning in, I talked about the fact that my boyfriend and I were looking for gas for my car. And that, just as an aside, I don't like to buy gas, and I do run it very low. And I was telling him I had gotten a new car, and I wasn't aware of it. And, I had a Lexus, and I think Lexus will allow you to go 50 miles on empty. And I tested it one day. I went from Fate, Texas to Frisco. Now, that was really the Lord. It wasn't Lexus, but I'm telling the story. And so he told me you never have to touch a gas handle again because I told him I ran out of gas. So he said you never have to touch a gas handle again. He was like, oh, no. Now, we've been dating a long time, so I have had to buy gas. But it was good when he told me that. So this gas story is very reminiscent of us. That is part of our relationship, going to get gas for my car. And oftentimes he just fills it up for me. This particular night, while we're looking for gas, after we leave the Lorenzo Hotel, the police pull me over, and he says to me, put your hands out the window. When I look out of the window, I see police officers dressed in SWAT gear. Now, I'm saying SWAT gear from the TV, all black, helmet, mask, bulletproof vest, SWAT gear. I then let my window down, and I'm told, tell the passenger to put his hands out of the car. And I say, his hands are out of the car, because I'm immediately irritated. So then they say, and it's a black woman that's giving me these instructions. It is a black woman that was behind my car. It is a black woman officer that stopped me. And I think that's important. I'll get back to it. So I then told to get out of the car with your hands up. That is impossible. You cannot do that. One hand has to open the door at the very least. If you're in a newer or more late model car, you're going to have to unlock the door to get out of the car, which requires what? Your hands. So it is virtually impossible through the laws of physics and common sense to get out of any vehicle with your hands up. Yet that is the directive. I hit the button, open the door, and get out. I am met with AR-15s pointed at me and him, 7 of them. 7 AR-15s and 2 handguns. Guess who had the handguns? You guessed it, boys and girls. The 2 black women officers pointed at me, pointed at him. There are 10 police officers total. 10, I guess 5 for him and 5 for me. Because you know me, I'm a big old person. 5'4", 118 pounds, I'm going to take them all on, right? And I'm also Wonder Woman with bracelets that can deflect the AR-15 bullets. I mean, should it come to that. I'm then told take 2 steps forward with keeping my hands up. I comply. I am then told take 1 step to the left. That puts me towards my vehicle. Then I'm told, no, take 2 steps to the right. Now I'm in this mug do-si-doing with AR-15s and handguns pointed at me, and you talking about to the left, to the right, because you don't know what to tell me to do. This is who's in charge of my life right now. Somebody that's literally in here got me line dancing. Then I'm told to continue to walk forward. I do that. I had the most disgusted look on my face. I'm immediately taken into custody by a very tall, thin, white officer dressed fully in SWAT gear with the helmet, black mask, where all I can see is his eyes, black shirt, black bulletproof vest, black pants, tucked in black boots. As he is leading me away, he says to me, "I'm going to put you in zip ties because I don't have any handcuffs." Say what? So I don't understand why he's telling me he's going to put me in zip ties. And I'm thinking to myself, am I supposed to know the difference between zip ties and handcuffs? Later on, one of my sorority sisters, shout out to Crystal, says, well, because you're black. And all black people know the difference between handcuffs and zip ties because we've all been arrested before. And surely you've been arrested numerous times for them to put an AR-15s on you, so you should be grateful for the zip ties. I think she's right. But here is where it gets real sketchy. He then leads me to a white utility van, a very large white utility van. Now, I remember seeing, though it was 2 white utility vans at the Lorenzo Hotel. Now, why I took note of them, I have no idea. I remember seeing them. I remember thinking they looked odd and out of place. It just looked peculiar to me. They were parked in the middle part of the parking lot on the back row. I distinctively remember them because I passed them before I could exit. Remember the Mexican man before he moved his car so I could go back out? I remember seeing them. So as he is leading me, he says he opens the driver's side door and then he makes some mention about the zip ties. And I say, what is this about? His response, you'll find out in a moment. Wait a minute. I was like, cute. Wait a hold. So my next statement to him is, you have stopped me, detained me, placed me in custody, and are now handcuffing me, and you cannot tell me why? He says then, you'll find out in a moment. Okay. Black people. Remember I talked about the Haitians? They have no idea why the Border Patrol people are whipping them with the horse, I don't know what that's called. I want to say leash, and I know that's not right. They remember just being completely confused and not being able to know that you're safe because someone is now in charge of your safety, and you don't have a say-so in your safety. Understand that when he led me to that van, I did not come back from behind that van. So I'm behind the van. The van is parked closest to the street, and I can hear the cars going by. After he places me in handcuffs, he does not lead me back to the other officer. So now I cannot be seen, nor can I see. So my thought is, when he put my back up against the door of that van, and I'm not talking about the driver's door, I'm talking about the door, the utility door where you pile people or things in, the main compartment, not the driver's compartment, the main compartment towards the back. So where you would load stuff, because it looks like a utility van. So I think to myself, he's going to violate me. I expect for him to pull down my pants and do things he's not supposed to do. And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, what will I be able to do to stop it? Then I think to myself, I notice that the handle to the van is to my immediate left. I'm literally placed by the handle. I said, no, he's going to put me in this van and he's going to rape me because no one can see it. I'm back here by the street. Cars are going by. So that's what's going to happen. So I start thinking to myself, what is it that I would do? And then I think to myself, oh my God, they're going to kill him. They're either going to brutalize my boyfriend or they're going to kill him. And they've put me back here so I will not be able to retell the story. I won't be able to know what happened because I can't see it, nor can I be seen. And we stay back there at least 15 minutes, at minimum, 15 minutes. So after it comes to me that he might just kill my boyfriend, I say, I do not feel safe. And he looks at me with a very confused look. And then I say, and I don't have on a mask. And he says, well, I have on a mask. And I said, your mask only protects you. His response to me is, I will take a step back. So now there is maybe a foot between he and I. CDC guidelines say 6 feet. So I don't know if this man is breathing COVID, Delta variant, Delta, Gamma, Lambda, Elemental P, Omega variants on me. So I wait. And then I wait. And I wait. Finally, he pulls me from on the side of that van, which technically would be behind the van. If you were there, you're facing one side and I'm on the opposite side of that van. And he leads me back there. And now I can see that my boyfriend is standing behind squad car 6046. And the same black woman that I saw pounce on that champagne-colored, what I believe to be Lexus at the Lorenzo Hotel, is the same woman that ordered me out of my vehicle. So now, I'm like, okay, all of this is from the Lorenzo Hotel. Then I say to him, what is this about? He says, my sergeant will have to tell you. I said, which one is your sergeant? He says to me, that one on the phone. And there's a short, middle-aged white man with a gray beard, dressed in tactical gear, SWAT gear, on a black cell phone. I noticed that my boyfriend's wallet is open on the back of squad car 6046. And his driver's license and his concealed carry license is on the car. No one has asked me for my ID. Understand that when they pulled me out of my car, they didn't ask me for my ID. Before he put the zip ties on me, I was not asked for ID. After he put the zip ties on me, I was not asked for ID. And I'm standing here now, and he's telling me his sergeant is going to talk to me, and I have yet to be asked for any identification. Then one of the two black women, not the one that ordered me out the car and not the one that I saw at the Lorenzo Hotel, another one, the other one with the other handgun that was pointed at me, comes and says, what is your name? Does not ask for my driver's license, writes it in that little pad that they have. And then she asked me for my date of birth. Now, I give her my name, I spell my name, and I give her my birthday in numeric order. She goes back on the passenger side of the car and she gives it to the driver of squad car 6046, the one I did see at the Lorenzo Hotel. It's Canvas Hotel now, but it's still got Lorenzo down the side, so we're just going to call it Lorenzo. And she then calls my last name and says, What's your name again? I give it to her again. Now, this is the second time. They still have not asked me for driver's license. She then says to me, you've never had an ID in the state? I look at her like she has sprouted another head. I said, of course I have. She looks completely confuffled. I make the comment a little bit earlier when they asked me for my name. I said, well, you got all that from the plate. Now, know this. That's why it's important for you to know these are black women that stopped me initially, okay? When they run the tags on your car, your license plate, all of your information is on there. So if you're the owner of the car, all of your information is on there. So they knew that I had a driver's license, or at least the person who owned the car has had a driver's license since they were 16 in this state. My address, what I look like, my driver's license, my concealed carry guys, I'm a voter, because they're looking to see if you are a citizen, operating as law-abiding. Or, even if you have a felony that's dismissed, they still have the felony and that it was dismissed. But what the felony is on your plates when you register your car. These things happen. So the idea that they have not asked me for my driver's license is extremely peculiar. I think you should also take note of the fact that they had AR-15s pointed at us, but I was the only one handcuffed, and I was never patted down. No, they didn't ask me, did I have any weapons on me? They didn't ask me, did I have any sharp objects on me? He just handcuffed me, took me around the van, and kept me there. This is not normal police procedure. So what is going on? Understand that my boyfriend is 6'1", 275 pounds. Again, I'm 5'4", 118 pounds. Who's the threat? Now, I don't want them to do anything to him, but this is odd. He was never handcuffed, only me. So the sergeant gets off the phone, and he walks up to me. They're still confused about my ID. I mean, who I am, rather. Not necessarily my ID, because they haven't asked for it. And then he says, why didn't you stop when we first signaled for you? I look him squarely in the face, and I say, everything I've ever been told is you don't start on a dark road. You wait, and I said, you don't stop. The first thing I said is you don't stop on a thoroughfare. You wait until you can actually park your car, if you can, and you get to a well-lit area. You don't stop in the dark, and you don't stop on a main street. For not only your safety, but the safety of the officer. Is that not correct? He then says, well, I mean, that's mostly for freeways. And then he says under his breath, well, I mean, there's plenty of places that's well lit. You know, that's subjective. Well lit is subjective. Because I believe had I not stopped at Scott's Discount Liquor, Beer, and Wine across from the Alamo Draft House, I believe we would have been shot dead because it is dark. Now, after I give him that, he's confused by the answer, and he knows I'm correct. He walks off. Then they're still confused, and they're still trying to pull me up. Now, those of you that know me well know my full name. There's only one. So this is not confusing. But I have yet to be asked for my driver's license or any state identification so they can look at the picture, hold in their hand, and look at me. Because remember, it's already all on my plates. They don't ask me if I'm the owner of the car. Nothing to suggest that they are trying to identify who I am. So the law says, you know, when you hear people in the law and they say they're trying to get, you know, like they get a habeas corpus brief or they submit something habeas corpus, it says that you should not be in charge of this person in a way where the person does not have the ability to care for themselves. But I'm making it very light, but that's basically what it is. You know, you submit a habeas corpus brief because you're saying you don't have the right to have control over this person. They have taken my ability to be secure and to feel secure and haven't even asked me to identify myself. So you've taken me into control and you don't even know who you have. Now, isn't that odd? Isn't that strange that someone would do that? All right, I got to take a break. This is Call with the Black Tea Sip. I'm going to finish up when I get back. Stay with me. In a minute.
Nourished skin is healthy skin. Simply Ardor skincare products provides luxurious nourishment for your body. Indulge in rich scrubs and body butters and top it off with our sensational and unique aromatic lines of sprays and roll-on fragrances. It's simple and lovely. Simply Ardor. Love is real. Just spread it.
Now available, T.H. Moore's newest novel, titled I Am, follows a young African-American couple who are forced to pick up the pieces of their marriage after the violent loss of their young godson at the hands of a local white policeman. The loss sparks not only their community's anger, but also the rage of a vigilante who initiates a nationwide killing spree targeted at corrupt police officers. New York Times best-selling author Omar Tyree praises T.H. Moore's new novel as an audacious story and read. Dr. Christopher C. Irving, CEO of the Miller Institute for Leadership and Diversity in America, calls it a daring story. I Am by T.H. Moore, now available at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and at thmoore.com.
All right, and we're back. This is Corbett, your Black Tea Sip. If you are watching the show today and you're enjoying it, please give us a like. Don't just give me a reaction where you see the little hearts and everything. Actually like the show for me because, Facebook is always trying to shut me down. So if you just joined us, I'm talking about the horrific, traumatizing experience that we received at the hands of the Dallas police. And I'm only telling it from my perspective right now because that's the only perspective I had in the moment of feeling traumatized and helpless and not being able to control what was happening to me. And so now we get to the point where they're going to tell us what happened. So when the police officer, the sergeant, comes, he says to me, well, now listen to the words. I'm going to bring you over here by him so I only have to tell this one time. What? It's an inconvenience for you to tell it more than once? It's interesting. It's an interesting way to phrase it. So we go ahead and he and I stand next to each other, which means I move on the other side of squad car 6046. And I stand next to my 6'1", 275-pound boyfriend. This is after they cut the zip ties off of me. Because I did notice that the sergeant gave the guy who was in charge of me a thumbs up. And then shook his head. And then he said, I'm going to go ahead and cut these zip ties off of you. And the sergeant actually cut one of them off. I guess he couldn't get it good with my bracelets and my watch. So I move on the other side of my boyfriend and the squad car, and the guy says, well, the sergeant, badge number 6029, Sergeant Adams, first initial B as in boy, says, well, we were trying to stop a sex traffic. We were trying to find an underage sex trafficked minor. What? Now, I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 May 25th. My boyfriend is over 50. Now, I understand that black don't crack. But I don't look 16. Even with my side ponytail and my little t-shirt and my jeans and my tennis shoes, I do not look 16. I've been told I look younger than I am. That's probably true. But I certainly don't look like a minor. Especially he was a little short, but if he could have seen the top of my head with this gray hair in my head, you would have known I am not 16. So then I say, and I look like he says, we were trying to find, because I want to be specific with you all, because, we family. He says we were trying to find a sex-trafficked underage prostitute. That is the term he used. I said minor because I'm trying to show compassion for a child that would have been victimized and would not have chosen to go into sex trafficking. Like nobody wakes up and says, I want to go into sex trafficking when I grow up. Nobody says that. So he calls her a prostitute. That's not only inflammatory, it's incendiary because the suggestion is you think I look like a prostitute. Now, I don't know what prostitutes look like these days. I just ain't up on prostitute attire. I don't know what prostitution gear looks like, but I had on some silver Puma flip-flops, some leggings that were black with gray and white flowers on them. They were not super tight. They were fitted, but they were not super tight, and a black T-shirt. So I don't know what prostitution gear looks like, but if that's how prostitutes are going out now, I don't know how there are any sex crimes being committed because that was not, alluring at all. I had on, let's go get some gas clothes. All right. So let's go with that. So I say, so you are saying I look like an underage sex trafficked prostitute? And he says, no, we thought you were the sex traffickers. Oh, so now I'm not an underage sex trafficked prostitute. I look like a sex trafficker. Okay. So me and this man, who's got on like an Omega shirt and some LSU shorts and some flip-flops. We look like sex traffickers. I don't know what sex traffickers look like. I'm not sure what they look like, but I know they don't look like me and him. You know how I know that? Because we are not sex traffickers. But he lied. And let me tell you how I know he lied. I know he lied because they did not attempt to ID me. You wouldn't expect a sex trafficked prostitute runaway to have identification, would you? They never asked me for any identification. They didn't ask me for my name. They didn't ask for my date of birth until after they started trying to cut the zip ties off of me. Right before he gave him the thumbs up. Before he started moving is when they came, because the black girls don't know what's happening, because ain't black folks always the last to know. They didn't know what was going on at the time because they had not been told by their sergeant, so they were just then trying to get my name. That's what I believe. Because why wouldn't you ask me at some point, do you have ID? Now, to be fair, they did ask me, did I have ID, after I was out of the zip ties, and they were still trying to identify me. And asked me, could he go to my car and get my, I said, oh, absolutely not. No, you may not. I said, now, if you need it, I will get it. Because at this point, how I know you're not going to put some dope in my car and say I'm a dope dealer. I'm a drug trafficker. So I give them my ID and they look stupid. You know why they look stupid? Because they thought I was an underage sex trafficked minor. Then they thought, oh, well, you know, she's not a minor, but they didn't expect me to be 49 years old. But remember I told you the black women stopped me? I have a bracket around my license tag that says Alpha Kappa Alpha. No, I think it says, I don't know if it says Alpha Kappa Alpha or it says AKA. They would recognize AKA before they recognize Alpha Kappa Alpha. It's in pink and green. It says Silver Star or Silver Star. You mean, now them white boys might not have known, but you mean to tell me those black women didn't know what AKA was? There were so many cues for them to say, this is probably not who we're looking for. I drive a little Lincoln SUV. I don't know what sex traffickers drive, but they probably don't drive a mom vehicle. I'm ushering children back and forth to basketball practice and friends and games and things. That is what I do in my car, and old people to doctor's appointments. And my car doesn't have tint. It has factory tint. I don't know how drug traffickers get out. You know, they have these movies now where they be functioning in society. But I'm pretty sure that the people who are delivering prostitutes to the Lorenzo Hotel are not upstanding citizens functioning in all social settings of American life. And I'm pretty sure they're going to have a sketchy past. And I'm pretty sure they're not going to have a car where the person is saying they've had a driver's license since they were 16 and you can prove it through state records. I'm sure none of that is going on with sex traffickers. But this is where we are. So, Flub 1, Flub 2, Flub 4. I mean, we're at Flub, 97 now? And so, Sergeant Adams, badge number 6029, continues to try to throw on us and thwart this huge mistake by trying to explain to us he was trying to get we're trying to save a sex trafficked minor. And we're just looking at him like he has put poop on his head. Because I'm trying to figure out, what does any of that have to do with me? I know they thought I was underage because of the way they treated me. But let's talk about that. Because the most disrespected creature on the planet is the black woman. If you thought I was a sex trafficked minor, why would you handcuff me? But better yet, why would you stop the car and have me get out of the car with AR-15s pointed at me? If I'm a sex trafficked youth, haven't I been through enough trauma? So in order for you to rescue me, you have to further traumatize and damage me in the rescue? Well, is that really a rescue attempt? If you mess somebody up even more in the rescue? I think that's considered a failure. They would not have treated a little white girl like this. If they thought she was a sex trafficked minor, they would not have done that. And we all know that to be true. And I don't give a doggone if you're purple. You know doggone well they would not have met that car with AR-15, handcuffed a little white girl, and took her back behind the van, talking about, we're going to tell you in a minute. Wait a minute. So he continues to say, well, no, I didn't think. And I keep pressing the issue, you thought I was a runaway, because I know it makes him uncomfortable because he's failed. I'm almost a half a century old. So I say, I am 49 years old. My boyfriend says they were stunned because he read their faces. I saw the woman's mouth fall open. Look, Sergeant Adams, badge number 6029, does not need to be in charge of anything ever because he's an imbecile. If he can't tell the difference between a 16-year-old runaway and a 49-year-old mom who was minding her business trying to get gas. This is why policing in America is screwed up. Because you have dumbasses in charge of sting operations. Because that's what that was. You know, a friend of mine made a comment, those of you that from Dallas, all up and down Pleasant Grove, South Dallas, Oak Cliff, there are these hot sheets, as we like to call them. You know, 2 hour. I've never heard of a sting running up in there trying to rescue somebody. So I don't know what's going on at the Lorenzo Hotel. But I don't know what's going on, and I shouldn't be non-participatory in every aspect. So you asked me what happened. How did we end? All right, I'll tell you. We ended by me saying I need to turn my car off because I didn't turn my car off. I was scared to death, so I didn't even touch anything. I just got out. I said, I'm going to run out of gas because that's where we were headed, to get gas, and I need to turn my car off. So I turned my car off, and I closed the passenger door. And while I'm gone, my boyfriend tells them, to you, this is an accident, but to us, this is trauma. And you don't know what it's going to take for us to process through this trauma. You don't know what it's going to take for her to live through this. Because to you, you just made an accident. And they look stupid. And then the sergeant starts trying, I don't know what he was pontificating about when he started talking about minority neighborhoods. And, well, I guess it's no more minority neighborhood. And I just remember thinking to myself, say what? What now? And then I guess I must have made a face or chuckled or something because he starts talking about, well, and the politics of it all. He looks at me, he says, yeah, I know to you it's funny, the politics. I said, no. What's funny is that you are trying to educate me about politics. I tell him there are more black women sitting on the bench in Dallas County than any other county in the United States, and I have happily played a role in that. I run political campaigns. They then look, as the words of my 10-year-old, shooketh. Because you picked the wrong black girl on the right night. So you want to know where we are now? I told them before I left that I had PTSD because this was completely unconscionable. And that nowhere ever, and I'm paraphrasing, these are not my exact words, should this be happening. I talked to my friend who works for the Dallas Morning News, and he told me when the police say sex trafficking, it excuses everything. Sergeant Adams went on to look my boyfriend in the face, as best as he could because he was like a midget standing next to him. He told him, we follow proper police procedure. Now, why would you think he would tell us that? Who was he trying to convince, us or him? Because you did not follow proper police procedure. You never asked me to identify myself. I was never patted down. I was never asked, do I have weapons, any sharp objects? None of that happened. And then, I told him, I said, I have PTSD from this, and we need to go. I need to get gas like I was trying to, So they tell us, I get in the driver's side seat, and then I tell my boyfriend, I cannot drive. So he gets on the driver's side seat, and Sergeant Adams startled me, comes up to the window where I am, because remember the window is still down from where he had to put his hands out, and says, are you okay? No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not okay. And he starts trying to talk, and my boyfriend says, we need to go. And he says, okay. Here's the thing. The same way that man was stopping that man with that horse and terrorizing him is the same way they terrorized us, because they were out there on some oopsie daisy. Golly gee, holy Toledo, we made a mistake. And that's where they were with it. And, I had to get an emergency appointment with my therapist Friday just to talk it through, because I didn't sleep at all Thursday night. I was very concerned about leaving the house and driving while it was still dark outside, because I have been traumatized and terrorized on an accident. But I also thought about my boyfriend, who knew as a black man what I did not know as a black woman. He knew to have them repeat every single command, and he knew to repeat it after them and then ask them how would they like him to proceed. You know why they didn't put him in handcuffs? Because his behavior de-escalated and disarmed them in such a way they knew they had the wrong person. And he told me they knew almost immediately they had the wrong person. So why did they keep me behind that van handcuffed with that white man? To traumatize me. Because he continued to tell me that he was just doing his job. I asked him one time, "What is your job, sir? To terrorize me?" He looked stupid. Sex trafficking. We got a thing. I want to pull up sex trafficking. Can you pull that up for me, Angelo? I want y'all to look at this, because this is sex trafficking, because I have learned that in the city of Dallas, and I'm sure it's other places, if they say sex trafficking, they can do whatever they want. And I got that from my friend that works at a news station, but the news is syndicated. So here you see Texas, through the Attorney General and Governor's Office, have identified 4 markers for sex traffickers. So I know that they thought originally that I was an underage minor. That's why they never really tried to identify me, and they put me in zip ties because they thought I was going to run away. And we got that from a police officer. If you look here, it shows who these people are that get sex trafficked. Adults to work in agriculture. Adults to go into sex trafficking. And look, I done had 2 children. I'm small, but I'm certainly not model fit. And it said to work in brothels, to work in strip clubs. Nah, child, I am way past the age. You want somebody 20, not 50. So Sergeant Adams doesn't even know the criteria for sex trafficking. Who is sex trafficking? He also does not know what a sex trafficker looks like. But I'm going back. Remember I told you I passed that man? And I believe he was Mexican, but he was a Latino man, the police officer at the hotel, pudgy belly, round face. When I passed him and he was at that stop sign, for those of you that were here for the 11 o'clock hour, he looked me square in my face. He knew I was in the car by myself. And I asked my friend, who is chief of police, who no longer works for DPD, but he worked there a number of years. I asked him, when you do what is called a felony stop, boys and girls, what makes someone determine that this stop needs to be a felony stop? He said one of 2 things. Either they had probable cause, saw the girl getting out your car, or saw you doing something to the girl and handing it off to a man, something to give them probable cause to suspect me, or someone had to identify my vehicle and send them after me. Remember the look? He kept looking in the car with that intimidating look, like we weren't demonstrating enough fear. Now, either he's a dumbass as well, and he decided that I look like an underage sex trafficked minor, or he did it out of spite. So he's either grossly incompetent or grossly sadistic. But either way, this is a gross mismanagement of police power. When I think about the things that happened to people and how Philando Castile was murdered, he did everything right. The only reason, pull up the Lions, the only reason that my boyfriend and I did not have something worse happen to us was because there is a God that sits up high and looks down low. And I know it's not popular to be a Christian these days. You know, black folks talk about you and say you believe in the white man's Bible and you pray into white Jesus. I mean, some people play the baby Jesus. So, I mean, Jesus, just pray. But I know that he's got me. It should be 2 lines. You don't have it? So that's the only reason we were covered. I didn't stop in the dark. Now, I was told by a friend of mine that I should have called 911 and told 911 that I don't feel safe. So y'all do that. Listen, you get stopped, you don't feel safe, you say, I don't feel safe. I am being stopped by the police and I am going to a well-lit area. I am not trying to evade. My name is such and such and I'm going to stop. I didn't know to do that. I know to do it now, but because I'm learning this, I want to share it with you. If you don't feel safe, but you should not just stop your car because they're shooting and killing us in the broad daylight. What you think gonna happen? And there were 7 AR-15s, 2 handguns pointed at us, and 10 police officers. So what about the ones that don't see so well? This is what's happening to us as a people. I had someone say, I told you at the 11 o'clock hour, this happened to you. Oh, it absolutely happened to me. And it can happen to you. And all they have to do is say, oh, we thought you were involved in sex trafficking. Because then it makes it a proper stop. Regardless of all the things and procedural things they do wrong, it makes it a proper stop. Which means you can be stopped by any police officer at any time and subjected to any treatment. Because what I negated to tell you is Sergeant Adams, badge number 6029, told us, well, normally when we stop people, we put their face in the pavement and we have you lying on your bellies. Sir, do you think that's the proper response for 2 people you just got it completely wrong, but still trying to justify it? Remember chattel? You not being in control of your own person? Remember that? Because that's what they reasonably believe. All right, I got a couple more things I want to talk about. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to be right back. This is Cora with your Black Tea Sip.
Do you want to find a stable job in a growing field? IT jobs such as network systems administrators, cybersecurity, programming, cloud, and computer systems analysts are expected to increase 25% by 2022. Texas Premier Technology Institute offers training for top certifications such as CompTIA, Cisco, and Microsoft in less than 12 weeks. And if you're unemployed or underemployed, you may qualify for free tuition. Contact TPTI at 1-888-490-TPTI or check them out on the web at tpti.us.
For nearly 30 years, we've had the experienced leadership of Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. Now, it's our duty to ensure that we continue toward progress. I am Jane Hope Hamilton. As a wife, a mother, and for a time a single mother, I know firsthand the challenges that our families face, and I know what it takes to get things done for our families and our community. As the state director for President Biden and former chief of staff on Capitol Hill, I fought for our community to have affordable health care, good paying jobs, and quality education. For years, I have also gone toe-to-toe with those who try to push us back and knock us down. When corrupt Republicans pass discriminatory voting laws that violate our rights, I fought back, went to court, and won. And when an out-of-control cop beat me to the ground, I refused to be intimidated. I stood up for myself, and the charges were dropped because I demanded justice. In this climate, as we face so much uncertainty, I am being encouraged to run in Congressional District 30. And as I consider it, I'd like to hear from you. Together, we can move our communities and our families forward.
All right, and we're back. This is Cora with the Black Tea Sip. If you're just joining us, I was talking about the terrifying experience my boyfriend and I had last Thursday night. And some of the things that I've learned, I've had to learn about sex trafficking because they thought I was an underage sex trafficker. Listen, y'all know that I'm friends with Judge Kim Cook. She's my sorority sister, but Kim and I go back to before she finished law school. Me and Kim been rocking for a long time. I told her, she was horrified. And then she added some levity by saying, well, I mean, they thought you were a minor, you almost 50. That's kind of a compliment. So, I have to find the silver lining in it all. But here's the thing. You know how when they say facial recognition, this software that they're coming out with now to identify people, and they say the recognition does not identify black people. They think several black people look the same, even though we know they look totally different. This also with the Latino, Hispanic community, and the Asian community, because our faces are, to have different attributes. I'm learning that is exactly how white people see us. Like, we have this joke about how all white people think all black people look the same. This man looking at me at 50 could not determine that I was not underage. That's a problem. Now, if you get stopped before, call 911. I've always said that if something were to happen to someone, I would call 911, so there would be a 911 record, and I would detail what was happening in coy fashion. But when we got stopped, and listen to me, when you get stopped on a felony stop, you do not have a phone. So you don't have access to the camera. You don't have access to recording devices, because you are told to get out of the car with your hands up. And we know that a cell phone in your hand is a weapon to them, and they will shoot you dead. You are completely vulnerable on these felony stops. And I told you, my friend told me, they can do whatever they want to do to you. All they have to do is say, we believed it to warrant a felony stop because we thought it was sex trafficking. Now, I don't know if you know this, but sex trafficking in Texas is larger than any other state in the United States. This is a hub for sex trafficking. Years ago, you just saw the commercial from my friend Jane Hamilton, who's also a soror. I do know people other than AKAs, I promise. She sued Governor Hot Wheels, and he had to return the money that he had gotten through a grant from Barack Obama because it was supposed to target sex trafficking. Governor Hot Wheels, kind of in Ken Paxton style, the lying DA that got indicted, that's kind of hiding money from the SEC that should be going to jail but is still serving as y'all's AG. They set up a voter fraud task force to study voter fraud. And they did a study, I believe it was at Columbia. It's a think tank, but I believe they run out of Columbia, but I can't swear to that tested it and said that they found voter fraud to be 0.0003% of all voters in the United States. Yet Greg Abbott lied, stole that money from the American people through Barack Obama's initiative to set up, it's supposed to be for sex trafficking, because Dallas is a hub for sex trafficking. And you guys need to know that. And I gave y'all the criteria. It's not just children, it's adults, but certainly not 50-year-olds, one would think. So he stole the money, lied, tried to set up voter fraud. Jane Hamilton, you just saw her commercial. She sued him, won. He had to return the money. Okay, so I want you to know sex trafficking is big here. Governor Hot Wheels could do some things to help thwart those efforts for sex trafficking, but he's worried about voter fraud because I opened up the show telling you he is now requiring a voter audit of Tarrant, Dallas, Collin, and Harris County, Houston. So with that being said, you all need to know. You need to know what they're looking for with sex traffickers. You need to know not to wear your hair in a ponytail on the top of your head, because that might make them think you're an underage minor, because clearly these people really do believe black don't crack. And they can't tell the difference between a 16-year-old minor and a 50-year-old mom. But you also need to know that the police can stop you and say and do whatever they want. So here's what you should do. If you're in Dallas, the city of Dallas, where I was, there is a community police oversight board. The chairman of that board is my dear friend, Jay Robo. I did talk to him Thursday night. I also talked to Jane Hamilton, who's worked on the Hill for over a decade. And you can file it online if you're in Dallas. Now, if you're in somewhere else, you need to go to Internal Affairs. Dallas through Chonga Higgins, who's been on this show, Dominique Alexander, Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes, who's at the border now, raising sand with Reverend Sharpton about how they're treating the Haitians, and many others work together, Sarah McCurrier, worked together to ensure that this board had teeth. because we had it before with Diane Ragsdale. Those of you that are Dallas sites, Diane Ragsdale, and she created a board. If I try to give you the name, I'm going to get all mixed up because they've changed the name several times. Well, this board can now subpoena police officers, subpoena witnesses, call people in front of them to actually investigate. The director of the oversight board, who operates as a paid employee for the city of Dallas, but operates independently of the city of Dallas and the Dallas Police Department. Her name is Tanya McCleary. It's a sister. She takes her job very seriously. I talked to her Friday. J-Swar Robo made sure that we got connected, and she said to me she was going to notify them that my complaint was coming. She was going to tell them she wanted an expedited investigation, and she wanted the report. So I've given it a week. I'm going to follow up. If you're in Dallas, you have those resources available to you. But let's look at this. I have resources. Jane Hamilton is my friend. I know the Black City Council members and others by name, and they know me by my first name. I know that I can call J-Swar Robo, and he's going to answer the phone. I talked to Dominique Alexander. Lee Merritt called me. I have resources. What about the people that don't? What about the people that are down there at that border at Haiti? Because that is how you will feel. That is how I felt when I became so emotional when the man came to my, Sergeant Adams, badge number 6029, when he came to the car to ask me if I was all right. Of course not. You just had 7 AR-15s pointed at me and my boyfriend and 2 handguns, and all we were trying to do was go get gas. First, you thought I was a sex-trafficked youth. Then you said to cover your behind, because it was a CYA move, you thought I was a sex trafficker. I don't have all the answers, but I want y'all to start looking at sex trafficking in this city, in this state, and start making yourselves very aware of what you can and cannot do. Because you can't drive while black. Can't breathe, can't walk, can't sell water, can't barbecue, can't swim, and you also cannot get gas. So, with that being said, know that you should call the police, 911, and say, I do not feel safe. I'm driving to a safe location. This police officer is behind me. Give them your full name. Let them know what's going on, because they will reach out. They're supposed to reach out to that police officer. All right. That horrifying story is mine. I have one of my own. I've been reporting about others. I stored that one, but I thank the Most High God for keeping us safe and healthy. And we will deal with the mental trauma, and he and I have each other. And we have you all to continue to pray for us and our safety and our well-being. I'm not going to deny the fact that I thought for a minute, well, they probably stopping me because they ran my plates and I have this show and I talk about them and everything else. All right, before we get out of here, I just want to say this. Black folks, y'all are fighting over vaccinations. The unvaccinated are stupid enough to tell people. I certainly wouldn't tell people. So y'all are coming after them. Stop. I wanted to play this one clip before I get out of here. Roll it, Angelo.
Christina Parks. I received my PhD in cellular and molecular biology right here in the state of Michigan from the University of Michigan Medical School. And so I'm very well versed in the science of both these mRNA, gene therapy, vaccines, this kind of technology, as well as what a vaccine is designed to do in the body, what it can do, what it can't do, and the fact that this is extremely complex science that has been oversimplified in the media to basically take away our freedom of choice. What I want to address today in this limited time is the fact that vaccine requirements and mandates are based on the faulty assumption that the vaccines in question prevent transmission of the pathogen, right? Does the vaccine for DTaP prevent transmission? No. Does the vaccine for flu prevent transmission? No. Do the vaccines for COVID prevent transmission? No. In fact, they were never designed to do that. All right, so you're asking, what about this 95% effectiveness? If you look at those clinical trials, they do not say that they prevent transmission. They expressly say that they're measuring whether they attenuate symptoms. So they're 95% effective based on their clinical trials at attenuating symptoms for the first variant, which is essentially gone in our population. Right now, the predominant variant is the Delta, and CDC Director Walensky basically said that these vaccines have no ability to prevent infection by and transmission of the Delta variant. So our policy needs not to be built on the hope of what we think something we want it to do, but what the data actually tell us. So do these viruses do the vaccines prevent the virus from infecting and replicating in the nose and nasopharynx? No. They've only been shown to prevent that replication in the lungs. They're different. The mucosa is very different than the lungs. It's very different than the blood. You inject it to the blood, you make antibodies in your blood. The virus isn't infecting your blood. It's infecting your mucosa, and you don't produce any IgA to neutralize it. In fact, recent studies have shown that the vaccinated, especially with the Delta variant, and the unvaccinated have similar amounts of virus in their nose and throat. In Barnstable, Massachusetts, the CDC tracked an outbreak of 469 cases of COVID. 74% occurred in fully vaccinated, and 4 out of 5 of those hospitalized were vaccinated. All right, so maybe they are mandating this because they just didn't know with the COVID. And so my main complaint is with our health agencies and the CDC, who basically know better and are misleading the public.
All right, I am not telling anyone not to get vaccinated. I'm not telling anyone to get vaccinated. I'm telling black folks, stop fighting each other. It is too much going on. There's a crisis at the border. I had a crisis last Thursday night, and we got to lean on one another. Y'all stop fighting over these vaccines. Let's try to take care of each other and get healthy. I'm going to end with this. There is a product called On Guard by a company called doTERRA. I talked about it before. Listen, I swear by it, because we had some stuff. I'm still with you. I'm still with you. It's also Zendocrine, DOCRINE, Zendocrine. It cleans the body, detoxes the hair, the skin, the nails, the organs, the blood. You need it in your life to try to fight this thing. This is Coy with the Black Tea Sip. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all pray for those that are at the border, those that are there because they need help, and those that are there that are trying to provide help. And y'all continue to pray for the Black Tea Sip, and we'll do it again, same bad time, same bad channel next week.